welcome. My name is Simon and we are the Whales of Wall Street. Today we're going to be looking at a crypto asset called FET, F-E-T, and that relates to a company called Fetch AI. These guys are actually incredible. I am an investor for a while now, and probably based on some of the research that I've done, by all means this is not financial advice, I probably will be looking to increase my position. But for me now with you guys is to just have a quick top level overview of what they're about and why I'm so excited about this. Just before I crack on with Fetch AI, I just want to bring your attention to the sort of integration with AI and the IoT infrastructure. It might help with understanding a bit more. So IoT in itself stands for Internet of Things. This is basically any kind of product or device that you can turn on and off, but is connected to the internet. So you're going to see lots of things recently about smart home products like security cameras, doorbells, kettles, washing machines. The list is sort of growing and growing. And that's basically operating on a system, like a centralized system through Wi-Fi predominantly, where, for example, your camera could detect motion outside, the lights come on, that sort of thing. There's lots of third-party applications like If This Then That, IFTTT, that will bring that kind of thing together in a centralized format. But what Fetch AI are trying to do is essentially try and decentralize and become a lot more deep learning algorithms of AI. So let's go straight into Fetch AI, and I'm going to go in a bit more detail on what we're talking about with the transition of IoT into a blockchain format. So with the fact of Fetch AI, they're basically looking to essentially create that kind of machine-to-machine model where, with decentralization versus a centralized system that we just spoke about briefly, a centralized system is basically if one system fails, they all fail. It's kind of like part of the old, the continuous service system. But with a decentralized system, basically if one fails, others take over to try and create the action that you're trying to achieve collectively. So basically trying to make everything a bit more autonomous without the need for a human. And the website is actually quite intuitive, to be honest. There's a lot to take in, and like I said, I'm going to try and keep it top level for everyone and sort of mention a few of the partnerships and how this sort of thing is going to move forward. So just very quickly as well, in terms of trying to also bring together what AI is in quite a substantial development right now. It's quite a big buzzword that's talked about quite a lot. It's now in kind of like the life cycle of the learning aspect. So this is where we're preempting human decision, perhaps the prediction or the movement of behavior before it's happened. And that's not just that side of things. It's also sort of really pushing forward with things like where I spoke about with capacity the other day on a different video. Things like heat maps, analyzing customer behavior, where they're looking mostly, or what's the detail that's being pulled out that they're really interested in, and learning from that and developing things around that, more sales tactics and increasing revenues, etc. Also from the logistics perspective, in terms of monitoring merchandise, the camera, for example, technology of AI these days can figure out whether a product's been removed from a shelf, does that need to be replaced, and sort of interlacing a natural AI system where it's automated, that product will already be ordered in the back end if it's not in stock in the distribution centers, etc. And that whole kind of flow of distribution, logistics, re-merchandising, being able to sell quicker, more efficiently. So what Fetch AI are trying to do is basically take that to another level, and open up essentially a blockchain where you would use FET tokens essentially to, as an open source kind of feel to it, where you're able to essentially transact any kind of movement within an AI system. So let's say, for example, you're looking to have a taxi journey. The FET system will actually autonomously work out how what's the quickest distance, what's the nearest car to that specific area that you're in and to where you're going, find the cheapest option available for you, and it will do all this in the background. So by the time the taxi arrives to you, everything's in completion. And because of things like smart contracts, there's a lot of trust within that. Everything's already been kind of decided for you that you're trustworthy, the driver is trustworthy, the transactional piece is trustworthy, and you'll just go on your merry way, get to your destination. You won't even have to pay the taxi driver or do anything with the app. It's just done. And that's very much like one of the examples of what they're trying to do with this sort of algorithm and system. The other sort of aspects to this, like I mentioned with logistics, is improving the flow of information in terms of when products need to be ordered, reducing emissions, which is obviously a big thing right now for multiple companies, and just basically so many other things that bring this sort of aspect together. And what I really think is really cool about this is the sort of adoption in the near future, I'm sure, where you're looking at things like smart cities and general algorithm of humanity with machine, in the sense that, for example, preempting the health side. So, for example, when the chips come, I'm sure eventually with Elon Musk companies and things like this, where we will have embedded infrastructure within us to essentially, the AI knows before we do whether we're going to be ill, or perhaps something drastic like a heart attack is going to occur in the near future or fairly much in that same day. The automation of that is, it will tell you automatically that you need to sit down, you need to wait, an ambulance is on its way, the ambulance comes and picks you up on an automated journey. There's no driver or anything like this, it's all automated. Takes you to the hospital, you have your surgery, you're back home the same day. That's kind of like on the health side. Autonomous vehicles, this is a big topic, something that we're going more and more into as we get electric cars, and we've seen the Google cars and things like this coming into fruition in certain places in the world. That's basically bringing again that whole automation of what's the quickest journey for you, basing that on the smart system grid to avoid traffic, to avoid a load of massive vehicles in one place, stopping and starting or slowing down, speeding up, all on an integrated system. And this is kind of like what Fetch AI is driving towards. It's bringing that sort of AI smart city approach with IoT and sticking it on a system where pretty much anyone can use this, using the FET token as the tokenization here to basically create the payment infrastructure of this system. So the idea of it eventually is you would use this particular system to pretty much do any of these things. So that's kind of like a very brief overview. Like I said, there is so much to take in here, and apologies if it's quite a lot. Like I said, I will do a lot more videos on FET. There is just literally trying to give you as much as I can on top level. Couple of partnerships to mention, things like Skift here, utilizing again FET and the process of FET to create automation in booking hotels. So again, I need a hotel tonight. The FET system, the AI system essentially generates all of that for you based on your history, based on your algorithm of your behaviors. Where do you like to book hotels? How much do you usually like to spend? It will do everything for you. This is almost like your personal assistant, in all aspects of your life. You can call it scary, you can call it maybe potentially lazy for humanity, but at the end of the day, this stuff is coming in one way or another. So you just need to keep up with the times basically, and just acknowledge that this sort of technology is going to become more and more popular as we go along. Even here mentioning about parking spaces, hairdresser appointments, obviously there's various partnerships and companies working with FET AI, but the fact of the fundamental is that it's the FET AI blockchain that's going to be creating this infrastructure, essentially like the server or the cloud system that you would see in other infrastructure systems. It's on a blockchain system of its own, essentially. Bosch is another really interesting one, again about logistics, but of course Bosch do things like white goods, especially in the smart home arena now as well. Some really big interesting news based on this Catena X partnership, involving multiple brands here as well, and Web 3.0, which again I'll do a video on in the coming weeks for sure. But yeah, just integrating so many technologies, so many smart orientated applications. This thing is definitely one for almost now, and certainly one for the future. And what's great about this, I mean, this is one of the most recent bits of news. These guys are continuously moving forward, continuously adapting and improving their system, to hopefully essentially get this to a point where in the near future all these AI systems will be linked together so much that everything will be automated. We're already seeing a lot of that now, and a lot of it you don't even know is automated, and you don't see the system in the back end. You just maybe order something on Just Eat, you don't realize how that all works. There's a big infrastructure behind that, and this is trying to remove the human emphasis and use more machine in terms of robotic kind of AI machine learning capabilities to take away that human need and that human interaction. So there is like pros and cons to that. Obviously, obviously everyone's sort of acquisitive about things like do we do too much over to machines? I know Elon always thinks that robots will take over one day and things like this. Let's see what happens there. But for me, I think a lot of it is exciting. There's a lot of big benefits to the health industry, to logistics and things like this. And logistics, especially in terms of emissions, this is a big topic, part of Agenda 30, the World Economic Forum and things like this. I think it's really important to keep in mind that one of the big projects for all of us as humanity is to try and keep on top of that. And I think I learned something on here as well, that part of these AI systems, they're trying to reduce a minimum of at least like 34,000 tons of carbon emissions per year. And that was like something of the equivalent to 75 million miles or something in terms of car journeys and stuff. So it's quite a lot, and that's annually. So it gives you a bit of perspective that actually AI can do a massive job in improving the emission side of it, as well as our automation side. And I think it's important to look into that in terms of humans. Like I mentioned in the capacity videos, like we have less time, we have more of a sort of work ethic. It keeps everything more efficient and in the sort of forward direction, great for the economy, and boosting revenues, here, there, and everywhere. So, I think it's absolutely massive opportunity. And like I've said before, keep an eye on their Twitter portfolios and things like this. Some great partnerships constantly being announced. Some great bits of information. Coming forward for that as well. So that's kind of a top end overview. Again, apologies if it's quite a lot to take in. It is something that I want to learn more and more of, and looking forward to doing that with you guys more and more. We'll keep some of the future videos a bit shorter for FET and maybe break down individual elements of that for you as well. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's given you a bit more of an insight as to what IoT is and how AI integration will work, and how FET are looking to try and do that, progress that further as well. But yeah, please do like and subscribe this video and this channel. It really helps us. And leave a comment below. What are your thoughts on AI? Do you think it's too much? Do you think we're going down a dangerous path of machines taking over potentially? What's exciting about this project for you guys? I know a lot of you out there do invest in this. Tell us why you invest in it. What are you excited about? And have you got any other crypto assets that are similar that you think that are interesting to cover as well? Please do drop that in the comments. So other than that, guys, like I said, hope you enjoyed it. And all that's left for me to say is I hope to see you guys on the moon. Thanks, guys. See you soon.